offshore outsourcing companies are actually cheating you. In this video, I'm going to show you or explain to you how they do it, why they do it, and why so often companies in Europe and US tend to go for that even. So in most cases, what happens is like a company from Europe, let's say, wants to outsource to India, then they start looking for offshore outsourcing partners. Or let's go one step back, maybe they want to uh, make a software project. So they have the option to do it locally, for example, in Germany or in the UK or somewhere in Europe. But the expenses are much higher. So everyone has heard that in India it might be cheaper, so they start looking for offshore outsourcing partners. So, and the main issue what happens is, a lot of times what happens is the projects fail and there's not much good output, and people have sometimes a bad opinion about offshore outsourcing. And the reason behind this it is because like maybe 80 to 90% of companies have some kind of awkward kind of approach how they do offshore outsourcing. I will just mention a few points which usually happen to companies from Europe and from US and all over the world when they start approaching an offshore outsourcing company. So the first thing which happens is like they will promise um, a senior developer. So they will say, okay, we will give you a very good resource in, let's say, ASP.NET, and they even in the interview or in the first few calls, there will be a very senior guy. He will explain all things, and the company in Europe will be very much excited. Okay, great, what a great developer they are giving us. But what will happen in the end is like they will put a project manager in between, which will communicate with the company in Europe. And then what will happen in the end, some a junior developer will actually work on the project. The junior developer might have no work experience or maybe 1 year work experience, but he has no idea actually what he's doing. Maybe he has some idea and he might be having some knowledge, but basically they put some junior guy, and the chance that the project will be successful is only maybe 50% or 30% or even less. So that's the first thing they do. They will show you a very senior developer, an architect developer, but in the end, a junior developer with a very low salary actually will work on the project. On the other side, what they will do to convince foreign clients is they will give a very low hourly rate. So that hourly rate might be something $10 to $15, which is very low when you compare it to Europe. Usually, a developer will get at least like 60 euros to 100 euros, which is around $60 to $100 per hour. So if they compare, okay, it's very cheap. So why not outsource to India if it's that much cheaper? And on the other side, they have shown you a senior developer with 6, 7, 8 years experience, for which you would pay at least 100 euros per hour in Europe. So that it's much cheaper, right? So, but in the end, of course, like I said, you will get a junior developer, which is not even worth the $15 you are paying for. And then what also happens is there will be many layers in between the development team in Europe or the customer in Europe and the developer who works on the system. There will be most probably at least one salesperson, an experienced salesperson who will be in contact with you, and they will be asking all these kind of questions regarding the project. Also, the project manager will be there. So they will take the requirements and give it to the developer. So the advantage for the offshore outsourcing company is that they, um, first of all, they don't need to show the developer. Secondly, they will make a very good impression upon you because they will think, okay, they have a project manager, they also have a salesperson, and the salesperson is usually very good at what he's doing, and usually sometimes also well paid, and they will of course try to get as much billing as possible. So the problem with that approach is that if you don't have access to the developer, if you have seen it maybe before, if someone tries to explain to a person something, and that person tries to explain it to the next person, maybe 20 or 30% of the information will get lost, and the problem in this case will happen. And especially the junior developer might not even understand in the end what is needed. If the client would be directly in contact with the developer, maybe there is a small chance that at least he will understand what's going on. So that is the another issue, is too many layers in between the developer and the end customer who needs the solution. Then another thing, a lot of offshore outsourcing companies will do is, like, suppose you ask them, okay, can you provide a developer with experience in Golang or in Java or in PHP or in any kind of technology, but they will always say, yes, we can do it. Yes, no problem. So basically, even if you give the most exotic of software technology, they will never say they are not able to do it. They will always say, okay, we are the best in this specific area, we can do it. And especially if the sales guy is involved, he will make you big promises. But in fact, they might not even have seen one line of code in this specific technology. So their approach is they will take the project, and anyways, to start with the project, there will be some time, 1 or 2 weeks to start. So in that time, they will ask the junior developer to read some documentation about that specific technology. And also during the development project, they will try to somehow learn how to do it. So the problem with that is, in some most technologies, if you want to give a good output, you need to have some 3 4 years experience. And a junior developer who might not be even good at coding, who tries to learn this new technology, it might work, but in 50% of the cases, it will not work. So you might wonder, okay, why they're saying, okay, we can do it, because in Europe, if someone can't do it, is not able to do something, they will say, okay, I cannot do it. You might need to look for someone else. But the idea here in India would be like, okay, there's a project, we can get money, so definitely we'll take it. And if we say, yes, we can do it, and the guy in Europe says, I cannot do it, then definitely the customer in Europe will think, okay, if the Europeans are not ready to do it, then we'll give it to India, right? So that's the thinking behind it. But actually, it's not a good thinking, because the European guy is actually telling you the truth, whereas the guy in India is telling you some lie about their capabilities, which is a very bad uh, thing to start a relationship. And also, there another thing is, like, how they will cheat you is, like, they will already calculate them that they will not might not get the last payment, but till then every payment they will get. So let's suppose the project is like 20,000 US dollar, you will give them an advance payment of 5,000 US dollar. Then you will think, okay, anyways, the project has started, maybe they will, in the next step, they will get better at what they're doing. Then you will pay the next amount till they have like maybe 75% of the money. But in the end, you will see, okay, the output is not good, so you're saying, okay, you will not pay the last 25% of the budget. But the problem in that case is, they have already 75%, which is more than enough to pay the developer, because the developer has maybe 1 or 2 years experience, and he has a very low salary actually. So with that amount they already got, they are already profitable, and with that money they can also pay a salesperson to find the next client. So they are already well off. Uh, so, but you are the one who will be suffering, because you have already spent so much money with little or no output. So those are the few ways how usually it all goes wrong. So the first thing, like I'm just repeating, they show you a senior developer, but they will give you a junior developer. They will quote a very low hourly rate. There will be many layers in between the sales guy, project manager, in between you and the developer. They have usually not worked with the technology they have promised you. They're just trying on the go. And usually they calculate already that even if they only get half the amount of 75% of the amount, they are already profitable. So those are the few ways how they get you. But there are also some ways how you can avoid these kind of things. But that usually comes only through experience. I hope this helped. At least it will show you how what kind of ways they do to get your money. But to be how to be successful is also written on our blog on Software-Developer-India.com. Maybe you can have a look at it and learn from it. You can also write in the comment section what your experiences are, where maybe you had some bad experience, maybe even some good experiences. And if it's some good experience, you can let us know, okay, how you did it and what are the best practices in this. I hope you like this video. Kindly comment on that video, like it, share it, and also subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much.